So welcome back, everybody. This is Oasis Digital doing some more work on our Angular Bootcamp curriculum. So today we have Jack Balbus, that's me,
Kyle
plus.
Cordes.
Lance Finney.
Chris Harden.
Zachary Kiffin.
And Zachary has a number of different branches that he has created that we're going to be reviewing today. So which one of these would you like to look at first?
The lowest hanging fruit is probably the fixed blanket directive, just
Okay.
because it's actually something that we need.
So we learned from our earlier things that we need to be a little bit more careful because we have ourselves over there. So maybe we should.
Worst case, you could just minimize, don't full screen source tree.
Oh yeah, that helps.
Let's do
Just on
that. Nope, that.
Yeah, you just make it
worse.
like where it takes up the top three quarters instead of the whole screen, and that works reasonably well. Okay,
There we
so
go.
I wrote some comments on this, but I can probably reproduce them with a quick look. One was the snarky comment that a blink directive is such a bad idea that fixing it makes the world worse, but that's okay.
I noticed that one.
I was wondering why we had a blink directive. I guess we just have to have something to prove directives.
We have a blink, we have a drag, we have a bounce,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we'll let that part slide. The other is, I'm not sure, did you lint this? Because I'm not sure that line 16 passes lint. I'm not sure that we have it set up to allow a optional, like a question mark on these. Although it might only be things that use in the template.
that's not the.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we ever do that. We might need to look around.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I thought it did.
We'll have to run a lint, is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Because it's not the same as a goal lessons, but
So what was the purpose of this change?
to make it work.
Well, what does that mean? Can you be
So
more clear?
before we were doing the, as you can see from the diff, so the ng on init basically was the constructor before. So we're doing all the interval stuff in the
Okay.
constructor.
Okay.
Problem with that is this.viz, or actually sorry, this.speed, so on
Okay.
line 21, is an input.
Okay.
So no matter what, we were getting a speed of 500 because that's the default value.
So it didn't respect its input.
Right, and we
'cause
had
did
and
it
we,
too soon.
right, and we had two situations where we just showed it by default, and then we
Okay.
showed it with an input, but the input was literally the same speed as the other one, no matter what you did, and that's the reason.
Okay.
Okay.
This
So-
reminded me of the other weakness here. So you got it from totally busted to still partly busted, because if you're going to respect an input, you need to respect ongoing changes to the input,
Not just the
right?
initial
Not
value.
just the initial value of the input. So we actually need to
Yeah.
move it not to ng on init, but to ng on changes.
Or do a setter.
I would do a setter, but
Well, that raises a great question, which is why we do this on camera. Can somebody say anything about the trade-offs, why I would want to consider doing it in an ng on changes versus on a setter?
so in this particular case, it doesn't technically matter. I would prefer not to do ng on changes, and I almost never use ng on changes unless I have a whole bunch of congregate input data that needs to funnel towards one set of functionality.
So you're concerned
Whereas-
about it firing too often?
Yes.
If you have
essentially.
multiple inputs?
Yes. Whereas if I want only a certain functionality like this is only reliant on speed as a single input, I would just do a setter function on speed that reconstructs the interval every time.
And it is only dependent on this dot speed?
Right.
Okay.
That's the only input we have.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there
Where-
are other places that we are using input setters in the curriculum, but I'm not 100%.
And this is also
Pretty
a
sure
good
we do.
candidate because you don't need the value of speed in the template or anywhere else. You don't actually have any reason
Exactly.
to store it.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't need to store it.
So you're saying you literally wouldn't even have to,
You don't even need a getter for it. You just need a setter.
Yeah, you don't
And is
have
that-
That's what I meant.
private
That's
is that okay in Angular to have set-only
Yep.
attributes?
Yep.
Nothing?
In JavaScript, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it'll get errors if something tries to get it because it doesn't exist.
Like,
But
is
nothing
that
else is
okay?
getting it.
As long as you don't reference it in the template,
Yeah.
you're fine.
Like you're saying you're finding that you happen to know you don't get an error? Or is it kind of semantically okay for something that's supposed to be like a settable property on a web component but not actual web component to have literally it fails if you get it? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah,
don't know.
it is okay to have a getter without a setter or a setter without a getter. And if you try to do, the thing that isn't set up, it's a compile time problem.
Okay.
Actually, compile time or run? Compile time.
It should be a compile time.
So I have another problem with this code here.
Oh, no.
That I'm shocked that no one has brought up.
Uh-oh.
Line 13. We don't need the word public. Come on, people.
Yeah, what's up with
That's
that?
weird.
I really
Yeah,
thought we had a lint at some point, but it's going to go away anyway.
I know.
You're not on the branch.
So,
Oh, right.
we need to go on the branch. Okay. And so, Jack, do you feel
Yes, I
like
should have took with
making
public.
the changes, or are you going to pivot the keyboard
I was
around?
making it work in class.
I think I could make these changes.
Okay.
So, so this is your version of it, and what we're saying is that rather
Yes.
than have, well, it's still public, even though the branch.
I did this in class, okay? Don't get.
Don't at you.
So what?
I made it work in class, and that's all I care about.
Oh, wait a second. We don't want to lose the thing where it starts at 500.
Yeah,
That's a
default
good
value.
thing.
Sure.
But we can make it
We
default.
can do that in the constructor,
and it's not
right?
technically just
Okay.
number. It's number undefined.
Oh, because it
It's,
could
it's
unset
an
it.
it's an input. No, it's just undefined in the beginning.
I don't think I've ever used a setter with an at input. Does that
Yeah.
It works like you would
does
expect.
that decorator work on
Yep.
methods like that?
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
use it fairly regularly.
So that S should be like ms for milliseconds?
Yeah, it's better. But I was just giving it a name.
Sure. And then, why does it need to be number or undefined? Is that just like a requirement that...
I typically do it just because they're inputs, and you don't technically have to actually pass in a valid thing for it.
But if you don't pass it in, the setter doesn't get called.
True.
If you're thinking about it that way, essentially, I think what you're saying is that we don't really control what is being passed in from the
I mean,
template
yeah,
at all. We
we
don't
never do,
really
but-
have type safety, so we should just leave it as an any or
Yeah,
an unknown.
Actually,
Yeah,
That's
and I
not,
don't
that's
wanna do
not-
that.
That's not really what I'm doing.
well,
Yeah.
so going even further, does that mean like if I was just like typing, let's say I wasn't even like binding to it from another component. What if I just like use this in another component? I just typed 250 in there. Is that going to arrive as a number? Or at runtime, is that actually going
That's
to
a
be a
number.
string?
It arrives
Yeah,
at a
remember,
number, yeah.
You can pass in objects too.
And so does it, like it actually looks at the types and automatically coerces it to a number if you type
No,
a
It
string?
interprets it.
It's an Angular expression you pass in. So
Well,
I'm saying-
is there a difference in behavior if you have the square brackets or not?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
If you don't have
I'm-
the square brackets,
you-
then it's a string.
That's-
That's what I'm asking.
Yes,
You don't
sorry.
have to you don't have to use the square. I mean, I could just type this
True.
in and not just.
That's true.
So does that mean to be truly correct, we
Be
should
number or
expect it could
string.
be a string?
Well, to be truly
Number or
safe, I don't know if that's correct.
Well,
Depends on your definition.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
here's what I mean. I mean, if a person just used this and they put speed equal quote 12 quote, it would work. That's what I mean. Like I don't correct him in it. I mean, it would work if you didn't. I mean, if you just,
So what happens on line 23 if this.speed
Oh.
is the string 250?
so you're saying you
Does
I mean, we
it get
could
coerced
put a plus
correctly?
in front
We
of
could
it?
just parse int it at some point, like check it.
Or
and
or
see.
number it.
Can
Wrap
you-
it around
can-
a number.
Is that the one? Is this the one where you can just put a plus in? Is like the
Yeah.
Technically, yes.
Poor
that is-
man's-
that is a way to get
poor
around
man's
it,
coercion? You just put a plus in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could just do that too.
But I typically just do the number class thing. I just wrap it in a number.
Yeah.
But
Well, somebody pick something. and-
Well, there's also the question of, in this course material, how bulletproof does this need to be?
I mean, we
So-
can really make it pretty bulletproof.
Yeah, the answer to that question is no matter what words we say in class, our customers take what they see here and they go start doing that in their real life big projects. So
Right, so-
ideally, we would never show code that is not at least acceptable.
So now we need a private
Like a cleanup?
method that just says clear because we
Yeah.
have duplicated.
Yeah.
Well-
I'm gonna be deleting stuff.
Yeah,
later.
but let
We
him
have-
write a little bit. I think
Oh, that has to be perfect.
This
It'd be
is
perfect the first time.
this is pre-refactoring.
You make it work, then you make it look pretty.
Pre-factored code.
you wouldn't really need it on the environment anymore.
Yeah, we're gonna end up deleting a lot of this.
It's actually kind of a high bar to say like our code has to be. Could you just use the
Production
engine
ready.
on destroy as your clear and just call it?
Sure.
Technically, yes.
I mean, it'd be a little bit ugly, but at least it wouldn't be broken.
Oh, that's kind of funny. Yeah, you
Yeah, you
totally
could.
could
Yeah,
do
you
that.
yeah, you
Yeah.
totally could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, say that again?
But
You
after
could just call it this.ng
Semantically
undestroy.
bad. That's That's all.
Okay.
After you,
Or
here, shouldn't you say?
you could make
Don't do
a
that.
single method that both ng on destroy and journey.
Please do it.
Yeah.
I don't want
that's
that
what we're gonna
because
do.
Yeah,
'cause
that's right. You don't
someone
want to explain what it means.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and
Yeah.
someone else's code, like I mean,
Yeah,
you add anything else to NG on destroy,
Yeah.
NG on destroy
No,
without
you're right.
realizing this.
You're right.
True.
You're right.
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually do it.
MS
We're passing MS
plus
here.
MS. If
Yes.
you want to make it, will be. There you go.
Should
Now
we-
you could
should we
actually.
put a comment there.
Now you can
Just
acknowledge
just
that it's
wrap it in
number
a
or
number.
string.
Yeah, on
That's right.
14 number or string.
I would just wrap it in a number. Okay. That's more verbose.
There we go.
You're saying put that way.
So
it's,
instead of plus, you literally just do like the number class and pass an MS.
and that
Yeah.
gives you
Okay.
back.
But then shouldn't we be checking to see that number of MS actually gives you a number and not like an AN or something?
Hover over it. We'll find out.
I mean, I'm just saying if they pass in
There you go.
whatever. No, but if they
If they
pass,
pass in something that
foo,
isn't a number,
it's gonna give you back NAN or something.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you that.
Yeah,
And
but
then what does
How
setInterval
bulletproof
do?
are we making
I-
this? Well, I guess now that we're saying that string is a legal input, then
Is Nan?
Yeah.
Nan's just what type is Nan? Is Nan like a kind of like an undefined?
And it's its own type.
I think its type is nan.
Oh, so we can't do like an or 0 or something.
You
Or-
could.
or
Yeah,
50.
you could do or
500.
yeah, you could do or 500 right there. I think it would work
Right
fine.
here?
Yeah.
Really?
I just don't know if Nan's like
Because
a.
As in
It's
Under-
definitely falsy.
Okay, so it is falsy. Okay,
I mean, it's not truthy, I assume.
I don't know.
I
know.
Say
I
that
don't
like it's like
know.
totally intuitive.
Well, I
I
have
don't
any
agree
idea.
that it's
I have
totally intuitive.
absolutely no idea.
That's when you open the node REPL.
That's right. We got a REPL right
For
here.
sanity checks.
Okay, so number, and then put something in there.
like
Oh,
And
Because I can just do this. I can
Or
do
bang,
like
bang.
not. That's falsy.
Oh,
there. See?
Okay, cool.
We're
Alright.
safe.
perfect.
Okay, so where are we?
Good to know.
so,
So-
what we have lost. Okay,
We have an objection to line 15 still.
I still object
Yeah,
to line
upset.
15. I would think extract
Yeah,
that
I
out
do
to a
too.
clear function.
Okay.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
And also, after you're clearly interval,
Can't
you
have
should
that
set-
name because that name that's a
Yeah,
reserved name.
that's a reserve.
We're always going to
Wait,
call
wait,
it
wait
in
a
the
s-
context of this, though.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
you
Oh,
do
this
that.
dot clear interval. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
you're right. Safe. Okay.
That's so okay.
You could just change the name of ng on destroy and then make a new ng on destroy.
Just- I'm not sure if you should name it clear interval.
Yeah, that looks
That's scary.
pretty weird.
That
The-
I don't. I mean, I would
I would just call it
definitely
clear.
in code review be like, can we make it not that?
I would just go like clear or reset or something.
Destroy.
Not destroy.
But define
Use that as a
data.
sub-
Bill,
No, I think you went the wrong. Clear would be happy. Just interval is not.
Yeah, I think
Unleash.
It's clear.
Release.
Release.
Stop.
Stop,
Call
that
it
works.
stop.
Stop interval. There you
No,
go.
That's
you-
good.
what-
I like stop.
Don't
Or
have to
just
say
stop.
stop
Just
interval.
Yeah,
Stop.
stop.
Just stop.
How about can we call it release the hounds? So there is
Hodor.
still something
Can we
that's
name it
missing
Hodor?
here. Someone else mentioned it. If nothing is ever input, then nothing will ever happen.
Yeah, so I wonder if we put in a constructor that just does this initially.
Yeah.
can't you do in the set speed? Can't you do equals 500?
Yeah, but set will never be called if they never
Yeah,
put
because
it
in the function.
on the.
What if we did
Okay, so
this?
Oh, I see.
we have a life cycle issue here,
What
right?
if we
Yeah.
do observables?
We don't want to. We
What did you
don't
say?
I would say we could do it for observables. Hook up a subject with
We-
the
Okay.
input.
we
and then-
don't want to always call this at the very beginning.
Yes.
Because we don't want to needlessly create it at 500, destroy it a millisecond later, and recreate it at the new setting.
So ng on init is perfect for that because if they
If
put
it
a
doesn't
value
exist,
in, it will
yeah.
already have been set. If not, we'll just do the default.
I like that.
So there's no waste.
So we should extract that to a start. Yeah. And then
So you're saying
start
in
there.
the ng.
Start.
on init, you call start, and if
I'm still not. And
oh,
let's
you're right.
see where
Never
you
mind.
end
You're
up.
right
But
because now we're not storing the value in
Right.
here. So now we need a private variable that actually stores the sets.
Wow, this example got more complicated.
And then
wait, why are you? What are you doing?
no, because they wouldn't have said.
No,
never mind.
You don't
never
need to
mind.
do that.
Let's back up.
Do
Let's
that
back
inside
up.
the start.
Well,
Well, because I was thinking that we could then reuse it, like wherever we
Oh, yeah,
wherever
yeah,
we
yeah.
decide to start it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he's-
What?
So if we
Yes.
were to go to the route of saying that we're gonna just start automatically, we could do this dot start.
But we're not going
we're
to
not
do
doing
that.
that. We're
Okay.
doing
We're definitely not going to do
We're
Yeah.
on
that.
the right track because in the ng on init,
Yeah, in general.
we'll store the interval ID. Or like if there is no interval ID yet, obviously we haven't called the setter, so
Well,
obviously we need to
At this point,
call
like
start.
there cannot possibly be an interval ID.
Right. But
Right.
what
Yeah,
I'm
because
Well, we
he's
only wanna-
making this is unnecessary.
So Jack, we don't want to start it, clear it, and start it again in the case where
Uh-huh.
they are using it. So I think what we actually need is to go
Automatic.
understand which Angular lifecycle hook is the one to put kind of conceptually at the end after.
I think on init is good because on
Okay.
init is right after the value is set, if it's going to be set.
So we can just check if this.ms and then.
So you're saying at this point, if it's not set, then we need to go ahead and set it.
Yeah, so like if not interval ID.
So Jack, you need to hold on to the milliseconds, not hold the.
No, he's right. I was wrong about that.
Oh,
We
okay.
don't actually care. We're gonna
Yeah.
do the default.
Start. So in here you say start. So, but what I'm saying, Jack, is you
Yeah, we
regardless
don't
of
need
this,
this,
you
yeah.
don't need to do
Yeah,
this
yeah.
extra thing where you've duplicated the this.interval ID all over. You follow me?
He's saying that you can move the assignment to interval ID
Inside to start,
Yeah.
because it would never be correct to call start and not
Right.
capture
right.
the interval ID.
No,
That's what
right.
I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
somewhat clumsily.
Although if you're unit testing it, returning the interval ID is a lot easier to unit test than
I mean,
having one outside.
if I was unit testing it, I want to test it from the outside. So I don't think I'd want to like reach into it and monkey with its interval ID.
Okay.
Another change I would make here is I think start should only take a number, and so we should do the safety check within the setter.
Yes, in the set.
'Cause NG on
Yeah.
init doesn't
Because
care.
it's a detail, like getting
Yes.
stuff from a template.
Right. Okay.
So
Just put
control X all
MS.
that.
Yeah, take that whole bit of logic, bring it with you.
And then send it.
Yes. And then you could rename MS to like,
Speed
we want to
value.
express that it's the raw value in some way.
Speed
Raw
value.
MS.
Speed value. Value. How about just value? Value
I
is
do
fine.
typically use value, but I feel
Okay,
like Paul would
value's
scream at me. So.
Yeah.
But Paul's not here.
I would have. I mean, I'd call it speed.
Really generic.
Speed of speed,
Yeah.
but
Okay, well, I at least don't know.
Try to
I usually
raw
typically
speed.
call it value.
data.
Okay.
I mean, this is
Okay, that one I do draw a line.
We know that Paul will
No.
object to data, so we're not going
I
to
do
data.
do value sometimes.
Because it is a setter, so technically,
Yeah.
name is the name of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's my Java world that when I have a setter,
Yeah.
it's
Yep. No,
set
you're right.
foo, and so
Yeah.
I'm just used
Okay.
to that.
So are we logically correct here at this point?
I think the last thing we should do is, or what we shouldn't bother doing is running this at all, and we should just do our Mensa
Oh no, we'll get there.
compilation.
So keep going down. I want to see the rest of the code. I think after we clear it, we should discard the interval ID so that we don't accidentally, in some kind of buggy case, call it twice.
Wait, why is the if state? Oh, never mind. I got some.
Mm.
Sorry, what?
Like that?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay, and so I think
What is
start should
clear interval
stop.
doing again?
So what was the question, David?
What does clear interval do again?
It
stops
stops the interval that's going.
It's the window.
Okay.
So the window has a
Yeah.
list of intervals that are currently
So
running.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's the low-level API for stopping an
Yeah.
interval.
Okay,
Yeah.
so on 28 we say window dot. On 35 we
okay.
don't say window dot. Let's be
Oh.
consistent.
I
I
never
like
use.
saying window dot because then it's more clear what the hell it is that's happening.
And it's
Oh.
like a
I almost
you don't
never
want-
do window dot.
yeah.
That makes more sense
Okay,
because
next
it looked
30 minutes.
to me.
No,
It looked to me like clear interval was like because we had started naming a method clear interval.
Yeah,
and
I got
thought we had
That
that
was
in there.
using period.
I can.
So having window.clear interval does
We-
make things clearer.
We don't need to solve it now, but for the sake of anyone watching, the case where it might matter is depending on what version of Angular you're doing and what like types you have installed. If you're trying to do server-side rendering,
Yeah.
you might need or not need the window. So I don't want to try to solve that now, but just in case anybody's watching and wants to know under what conditions it might matter. It's when you're trying to compile this on Node for server-side rendering and like
Okay.
you're like fighting the types.
You're being too explicit.
Yeah.
And you can't
But I think you might have to get the types to work right. I just don't remember. So just be aware it's an issue.
Okay, so do we want to run this and see it
Maybe
working?
in a future version.
What does the comment
we
say?
should
Is that
server-side
comment a good
render every
comment?
step also. And be like, we only show code that server-side renders correctly.
Okay.
That would be
Give us
awesome.
Complicated, but yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It would be.
This is what you're looking for.
Or how much are people actually doing that? Like server-side rendering?
We are
We do
people and we are doing it.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, like
there's a-
in general, like Angular people.
Um, very few of our customers are doing it, but very many external, like facing the world Angular apps are doing it. So our customers tend to be like big internal enterprise stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't
so
care
like
about a few
public
seconds of loading.
facing
Public facing, it matters a lot.
versus enterprise.
Like public facing, you're literally throwing money away if you don't have it loading
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
does this code work, Jack?
You know, I don't know.
Why don't you bring up a command window out, yeah, and then run it and let's see if it works.
What is the comment at the bottom of the file?
Basically, it just explains there's an observable way to do it. That's less binding to the browser.
Yeah. Oh, well, should we just do that?
Oh.
No.
No.
No. Because that would make this because this is supposed to be about directives, and if we did that, it's going to become about the complexities of how to like reset the observable interval scheme depending on the incoming input.
Mm.
And we should not.
But
You
it's
know.
more relatable to people that only do JavaScript and stuff, anyways. So.
Okay, so
I'm
let's
sure
see if it
OBS
works.
again.
Please work. Fingers are crossed. Oh, it'll be crazy. We just like commit it and push it up there and.
Don't bother. I mean, it was broken before. What's the worst that could happen?
And show OBS again.
Yeah. Hit the
Oh,
OBS,
wow.
Yeah. Hit the OBS there.
Yeah, it works.
Hey, it worked! Wow. Okay. So, Jack.
You feel about this stuff?
I
That's
have
such
not
an
looked at all the
improvement.
700s.
I hadn't even noticed it was broken forever.
I did, but like it's like it does look the same to me. But moving on. And then
Yeah, literally. I just never cared. At some point, I was just like, I had the
It's a
time
little
to sit
peachy.
down and.
I'm pretty sure that this has been broken for literally.
It has been a
Yes,
while.
I think
Yeah,
it's been broken
for a
the
while.
entire time. I think this
Yeah.
has never
Yeah.
worked
Yeah, it's
until
been broken
now.
a while.
So, why don't we do a work in progress commit? And then, I don't know if everyone here already knows how to do it, but I'll just walk us through briefly running the compile and lint to see,
yeah, I don't think I know.
because it's really good to do that locally so that you don't have to deal with the misery of it embarrassing you by failing on CI.
Yes.
Which it's going to do now because you've kicked it out there. But okay, so if you go back to your command window and Control C there, and then like look at our package JSON, and you can just like look at it in here. And this is kind of inside baseball here because I actually don't know if this works with the stuff that people get during class or not. But you see that compile right there?
Mm.
If you just do yarn compile, it will compile all of the code, and you will then find out if any of it does not compile. And while this is running, flip back over and let's look at the thing again. There's a similar one for lint. You can just do yarn lint, and then you'll find out if it breaks any lint. I don't know.
Can probably do that in parallel.
Probably. You also want to run prettier.
So it all compiled.
Are you changing the formatting while you're running lint?
Don't know.
Oh, well, that's alright.
That's fine.
Okay. Or is it just checking?
I
What
think
do-
it's just checking.
What
okay.
are we getting? Yeah, all files
okay.
matched.
Yay, you're
Yep,
pretty.
and our code compiled. So it should
So
be
cool.
fine.
So yeah, compile, lint, and pretty are all happy.
And I probably ought to make a way to run those all at once. In fact, I probably ought to put that in the pre-commit hook,
Yeah.
like we do on some projects. So Paul is not here, so rather than putting it on master, why don't we squash this down, rebase it, and make like a proposed master to
proposed,
put it on.
Okay.
Proposed, right?
And then we'll, maybe after we get this, do a couple of Git gyrations, and then we'll maybe wrap up this and go to another session for our next one. Okay. In fact, rather than make people watch while we do this, why don't I just wave bye to everybody and stop our recording, and we'll start again when we're going to look at more code.
Bye, everybody.
Like and subscribe.
Later.
YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Wherever we need to point.
Right, it's that way. It's over there.